All right, for more on precious metals, we turn to Jeffrey Nichols, who is Managing Director at American Precious Metals Advisors and Senior Economic Advisor for Roslyn Capital. Jeff says the fundamentals for gold are very positive, and, you know, just looking at the chart, it's had better days over the past couple of weeks. It's down a few percent from last month. It is up 15% over the last 12 months. How far do you think gold still has to go? Because we always hear these incredible predictions, $2,000 and more, and right. We don't really see it.
Well, I'm one of those making those incredible predictions, but not for a few years. I think in the near term, you know, it's still a question of the euro, and the weakness and crisis in the euro and in sovereign debt has given the dollar a reprieve, if you will. It looks stronger because the euro is so weak and having so many problems. But ultimately, here in the United States, we still have all the economic problems that we've had for the last few years. We have record debt, we have rapid growth in money supply, we have zero interest rates from the Fed. All of those are stoking the fires of eventual inflation, I think.
So whether it's euro or dollar, you see gold moving up longer term?
Absolutely.
How high?
Well, I think by the end of this year, we may see gold at $1,400 to $1,500. And I don't think that's an unreasonable or wild forecast. And over the next several years, looking out beyond this year, $2,000 and even $3,000, I think, is a reasonable projection.
Because of those inflation concerns again?
Because of the inflation concerns, because the dollar is really being undermined, much as the euro has been by the southern tier of the continent and all of their debt problems.
Maybe I think a key question for especially viewers watching at home that would want to cash in on this is, does it go down significantly further before that happens? Because obviously we're hearing that the problems in Europe could get worse. There are much bigger countries that have the similar budget deficit problems to Greece. So do they wait a month? Do you think gold comes down to below 1,000 before it goes back up to 1,400?
I don't think it's going to go below 1,000, but certainly it could go lower in the near term with more bad news around the euro, and if other countries besides Portugal see their debt rating decline, it certainly could have an impact. But gold has been, over the last month or so, beginning to disassociate itself from the dollar. So even if we have these problems in Europe, I think over time they'll become less important for gold, and the main driver will switch back to the fundamentals. Not only are the fundamentals here in the United States with regard to monetary policy and fiscal policy, but we have a whole half of the world which is starting to revive from the global recession, China, India, the other South Asian countries.
Right.
And these are sponges for gold. People in those countries are both investing in gold and buying gold jewelry. And as their incomes improve, you'll just have more of that.
And it's basic supply and demand then.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you play it out. Let me ask you, we had a story leading into this, Jeff, about the CFTC considering limits on how much of the metals market speculators can control. How do you think this might play out? How might this impact something like the trade in gold?
I don't think it really matters much. I mean, the gold market...
For gold or overall?
Well, for gold.
Right.
For gold, it's a global market. And if traders can't do business in the United States because of limits, they'll simply do them someplace else. And the over-the-counter market, for example, between dealers and institutions, at times is much more important than what's going on the floor of COMEX. And we have, you know, the development of futures markets in other countries that are emerging. In China, you have a Shanghai futures market. In Mumbai, you have a futures market
so
now.
Investors can just go elsewhere.
These are shifting, and these other markets are growing.
All right, hey, Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. Jeff Nichols from Roslyn Capital speaking.